Welcome to Cisco AppDynamics Mobile Real User Monitoring for Android. I'm Stephen Courtwright, a Customer Success Specialist. In this video, I will show you how to monitor an Android application using AppDynamics Mobile Real User Monitoring, or MRUM. Here are the prerequisites: a working Android application, an AppDynamics controller, and a license. For the sample app, I have a simple game where a user guesses a number between 1 and 20, and we'll use that throughout the demo. This video covers three major steps. First, set up the initial app configuration in the controller. Second, modify the app configuration in the Android Studio Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. Third, view the app telemetry in the controller. This is my controller's default home page. To get started with the MRUM instrumentation process, we're going to click on User Experience in the left pane. Choose Mobile Apps if it's not already selected. Notice that I already have a test app configured, but let's see how to configure a new app. You would click the Add App button in the toolbar, choose Android in this particular case. I'm also going to select the Manual button for greater control over my configuration choices. For MRUM to work, the app needs permission to access the internet. So you need to modify the Android manifest.xml file with these two stanzas accordingly. Next, what you would do is choose Auto-Generate a new mobile app group, and then you would click Continue. I will not do so here because it does generate a new license key. But you would update your build.gradle files. Understand that there are two build.gradle files in the IDE, one top level, the other module level. The instructions are pretty clear as to which excerpts go into which of the two build.gradle files, but do take caution that you don't mix them up. Next, we'll go down to step 4. I recommend skipping the ProGuard section, and you should do likewise in your lab environment. Trying to troubleshoot ProGuard and other variables that have nothing to do with your AppDynamics configuration can sometimes get in the way. Obviously, when you're ready to deploy to a higher level environment, especially production, the ProGuard should be put back in. But once you have a good working example without ProGuard, it should be a fairly straightforward process to add it back in later. The fifth section asks you to modify the source code. This entails adding two import statements in your main activity and then modifying your onCreate method. And this pretty much covers the controller app configuration step. Next, I'm going to apply these changes in my IDE and rebuild my Android app. This is my test app in Android Studio IDE, and I am in the Android manifest.xml file. I've made sure that the internet access permissions are present in this file. Next, I'm going to double check my build.gradle scripts. Pay close attention to which Gradle file you open. The project and module level Gradle files are not interchangeable. The instructions in the controller in the browser screen are clear which JSON snippet belongs in which Gradle file. In the project level Gradle file shown here, I chose to pin to version 24.4.1 of the MRUM toolkit, the latest version at the time of this video recording. You could also choose to put 24.4 and then a plus sign and let the build system locate a newer version if available. The module build.gradle file holds an account name and a license key shown here. Again, this will be provided by the controller in the browser window that I showed earlier in the video. Next up is constants.java. This was my way of factoring out some of the hard-coded strings and other hard-coded values that appear throughout the program. So rather than have them sprinkled in different source files, I put them all in this particular class, made the various strings public, and then they can be referenced elsewhere in the application. This again is provided by the controller when you manually set up your Android app, as well as these two URLs, one for the telemetry collection and the other one for screen capture collection. The last URL that you see here is specific to my particular game application, where there is a Python server shown here running on this local IP address on port 8080. When it comes to the collector and screen URLs, you may need to concern yourself with the specific geographic region where your Android app users are located. This is for Western Hemisphere, United States. There are other URLs, and you may have to put in some program logic to decide which particular URL is used, and that would show up when you are in the main activity, and more specifically in the onCreate method on startup of your particular app. There are two calls to the start method for instrumentation. Note that appd_key is referenced here along with appd_collector URL and screen URL. You will have to put in an import statement to get the agent configuration and instrumentation classes in here. And that is pretty much what you need to do to get the code working. Calling the start function is all that's necessary to load the MRUM library into memory. You don't need to decorate your classes or methods with calls to try and capture things. So once this toolkit is started, you're good to go in terms of instrumenting your code. I will now save all of my changes and click the Sync Now button. So first, let's remember to save all. And then let's synchronize now. I'm going to also clean the project because this is the first time we're actually adding the MRUM toolkit through build.gradle. We'll go ahead and make the project. And this may take a few seconds because it has to pull down the MRUM toolkit. And we're making some good progress here. Okay, so that wrapped up in about 19 seconds. So that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and let's deploy this app to the emulator. And we'll see about getting this going. Okay, here's the emulator. Going to go ahead and put in my name. Currently see that I haven't played any games and I haven't made any guesses. So let's guess a number. We'll start with 10. Okay, we're too low. We'll try 20. We're too high. Let's try 15. We're still too high. 13, still too high. Okay, we won. You get the gist of how this particular game is played. So now we're going to go see the telemetry of all of this inside the controller. Now that I've played a few rounds of number guess, let's check to see what kind of telemetry information we can see in user experience, mobile apps, and we'll click into the test app. I'm going to change the time window back to about 5 minutes instead of the usual 1 hour so that we can see in a little more detail what's going on here. This is the overview dashboard. It has many widgets, as you can see. Some of these widgets can be removed by clicking the X button in each individual widget. You can always put them back if you accidentally remove them by clicking that plus sign towards the top and select some of the other widgets that are not in here by default, as well as put something back you may have accidentally deleted. You can also go to the geography dashboard. There's really not much to see here in this particular app because it's just running on my laptop. But as you start to push out your Android app to a wider audience, you would see a lot more information, as well as network requests, how many times the app was opened, that sort of thing. Looking at usage statistics, we can see the various devices, carriers, connection types, OS versions, and the versions of our specific app. Turning our attention to both crashes and code issues. Fortunately, my app is simple enough that I don't have to contend with any kind of problems there, but a more robust application with a lot more moving parts, over time you would start to see some information here that your app development team might find interesting in terms of improving what kinds of changes they need to make to improve the quality of service for the users. Turning our attention to network requests, you can see here that there were a number of calls to my Python web server. The health of that's looking pretty good. You can see the number of requests per minute, and how many milliseconds were spent in those kinds of network requests. And you could see lots of other requests if you had a more robust app that was going out and fetching, say, the weather, sports scores, stock quotes, any other kind of data from the web would appear here, and you would be able to get some information about what kinds of requests were being made and what the health of that type of request was looking like. And that concludes this brief overview of how to instrument an MRUM app for Android. In summary, I created a new mobile app configuration in the controller. I applied the configuration in my Android Studio IDE, saved the changes, synchronized the Gradle files, clean and built the project. After deploying the app and testing it on an emulator, I looked at the various dashboards that you can see here in the controller. MRUM has a lot more capabilities than I can present in this short demo. I hope you will experiment with this for your own Android app and explore the MRUM capabilities further. Thank you for watching this demonstration of AppDynamics Mobile Real User Monitoring for Android. Hopefully, this gets you started on your journey. Please check back as we add more how-to videos over the coming weeks and months.